Hello everyone, my name is frankanthony and welcome back to Let Me Be Frank, the channel where it's 50% podcast and 50% whatever this is. This video and another video I've been wanting to make for quite a long time. The other video talking about how I started my podcast and certain tips about starting a podcast. It's so cool to see all these new podcast channels and podcast shows and podcast hosts coming out of the woodworks. It's super exciting to see all of that, and I can't wait to see their growth through the process. Speaking of, if you would like to follow my new podcast Instagram, that is @FrankPodcast, you could go check that out. I'll put it somewhere. So today is going to focus on season 2 of Let Me Be Frank, the podcast. I've been wanting to do this for a while, where I go over what went well and what went not so well, just to kind of to analyze exactly what I want to do for next time, things that worked, things that didn't work, and kind of just a self-evaluation. You guys can also comment below what you think went well and what you think didn't go so well. So let's get started. So one of the things that I think went quite well during this season was adding the video aspect. Season 1 of the podcast was strictly audio, and strictly audio podcasts are really cool. I definitely still listen to a bunch of them. I actually prefer to listen to podcasts over watching them because of how I started checking out podcasts. I always would listen to them first. I actually just started watching them kind of recently, but I noticed a lot of people are starting to go over to YouTube, and I figured, okay, so for season 2, let's make that a big change. And I think the video aspect worked quite well. I'm getting a lot of viewership over on YouTube now, as well as I did on Anchor and Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all the other streaming services that the show's on. So the guests. Obviously season 1 had some great guests. Season 2 also had some great guests as well. I want to say there was more guests on season 2 compared to season 1, which was really cool. It's always nice to have that other person to talk to. To be completely honest with this show, I don't know if it's because it's called Let Me Be Frank or because it's my very first podcast I ever started. I just don't see having a co-host, potentially at least a permanent one. So to have these guest ones come in, it's kind of nice and it kind of changes it up. I'm kind of like the one constant, and I mean, people only want to hear about me so much. So it's nice to get different people coming on and sharing their stories and also talking about some important topics in the world. I thought this was important to mention about, I noticed that season 1, every single guest was a woman. So this was really cool. I ended up having a lot more male guests on season 2. I want to say there's almost just as many male guests as female guests, which was kind of cool. It's nice to mix it up. I also like having people come from different cultures, different religions, different backgrounds. It's cool to get different insights. I don't want every single guest to 100% agree with the beliefs that I have. I think, if anything, it's more interesting when you have me or a guest or just multiple people on the podcast who have different opinions with each other, but they don't need to argue. They can still have mature discussions. So because I added video to season 2, I was able to do video promos. Now there's these things called audiograms. Audiograms are awesome. Keep using audiograms if you use them. I love though that I was able to also do video promos. I thought that was interesting. It kind of switched it up so it wasn't always an audiogram to promote. I actually ended up promoting more video promos, and I think that was able to suck people in a little bit more compared to season 1. Also with season 1, people didn't really know what they were getting from me. To be completely honest, I 100% don't even know what I'm doing with this show, so So, season 1, the podcast cover art was more of a basic just getting started. I think it was still like pretty, it was still nice, but it was, it was basic. Where season 2, the cover art it became more personal. And season 3, the cover art, if you'd like to get early access to the season 3 artwork, you can join my Patreon in the description below, and you can get early access to guests, to all new stuff. But I felt like, that the podcast cover art, it was, like I said, I made my own for season 1, then I started to outsource for season 2, and for season 3 I did again. And there are just some very talented people on a website called Fiverr. I promise I'm not sponsored by Fiverr, but Fiverr, if you'd like to sponsor me, So Fiverr, there are great creators on Fiverr. You should definitely go check them out. Obviously read their reviews and see the type of work they do. Look at past projects they did. And yeah, I definitely highly recommend Fiverr. I've gotten some great work for YouTube channel art and for the podcast covers, and also for the intro and outro music for season 3. It was also someone that I had met on TikTok / Fiverr. So really cool stuff. And one of the last good things I would say would be the video quality. Not to like toot my own horn, I did get a new Sony camera that shoots the 1080 quality and it also shoots 4K. And I feel like video quality for the most part, at least on my end, I mean, guests are only gonna have a certain video quality. It's not like this is their profession. I don't expect guests to get their own microphones, get their own $1,000 cameras or whatever. Like, no, that should not be expected of them. I definitely want to make sure my video, my sound quality are up to par, up to what I really want for an episode. I have to figure out the rest from there. That's my job. So I think video quality was good for the most part, I would say. The not so well. This is the stuff that I really need to pay close attention to, because it's stuff that I don't want to make the same mistakes again, or definitely not as many. So the big one was lots of technical difficulties. So for example, as I'm recording on this camera right now, this camera loved to die on me. It loved to burn out. It got overheated many times because I have lights going onto the screen and onto the camera. So it just, oh my God. Lots of technical difficulties. Any guests who are watching this video right now, I do apologize. I want to say there was a technical difficulty probably almost every episode. Not every single one. I think towards the last few there weren't really technical difficulties as much, but definitely as I was starting video for the first time, I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. I still 100% don't know what I'm doing, to be honest. So it was a lot, and it's not like I have a crew or anything. I have to do this all myself, and at the same time I need to learn as much as I can and keep absorbing it like the sponge that I am. So another one, YouTube thumbnails. This is something personally I had refused to outsource and hire someone. I decided to make them myself, and I'm only so talented. And yeah, they're not the best. I can admit they're not the best. No one really told me they were bad, but they're just not the best. I actually used them as a parody in a way to hopefully attract people. It's like, look at this, look at these stick figure type things I can do. So maybe I'll outsource. I don't know. It just seems like a lot of money to outsource every single week, something like that, compared to like hiring an editor to edit your clips for video or for audio. I think that's where maybe the money would benefit more, whereas like the YouTube cover thumbnails or cover art, I don't know, I can't do it yet. I don't know. So I just need to keep learning and keep making those better. So editing and sound issues. I said technical difficulties already. Once again, you know, with the editing, I haven't outsourced that yet. It's one of those things where if I get more patrons, I will have a little bit more money that I can send to hire an editor. It'll make it much easier, where if I tried to just hire an editor right now, I can't really afford that. You know, small creators like us, it's hard to afford those expensive things. It was already a lot to get equipment as it is, if you guys, I mean, you guys know. For editing, you know, I know basic editing, as you can watch. I don't do anything super crazy. I can't really do anything super crazy yet. I still need to keep learning. I need to invest more time in learning. So there was definitely some sound issues when I was editing that I didn't catch until after an episode had went out. I want to say there was one specifically where it did this, where our voices are really, really low. It's hard to hear us. And so yeah, I apologize for that. It sucks when that happens, because some people, that might be the first episode they listen to, and then they never want to check out your show again. So it's something that I just need to keep growing. So a green screen is something that I wouldn't technically consider a bad thing, not having one. I did notice there's creators that have one, and I just think the aesthetic is really cool. And you might be noticing in this video, I have a green screen now. So I did fix that. I just didn't want to look like Jimmy Fallon's Elle. basement girl segment thing. It definitely resembled that a lot. I wanted to start slowly going into a more modern, future-esque, look more like a show, if anything. I don't have the best scenery in where I'm located, so I definitely need to spruce it up a little bit, and I hope that this green screen helps from distracting, certain distracting backgrounds and stuff. And the last thing that I wanted to go over was I felt like the show, no one really said this, but I feel like people would have said this, they just didn't tell me personally, that it felt almost a little too interviewy with certain guests where like the entire episode just consisted of interviewing that person. And it was great interviewing those people, obviously. And I definitely still want to keep interview segments in. I just think I want to maybe mix it up a little bit because I like talking about the everyday topics too. Instead of just doing that by myself, I'd like to do that with guests as well. But I think how I connected with a lot of guests, it was through a website where it's more so just interviewing them and promoting their work. I do want to get a little less about that. I still, of course, let's promote their social media, let's promote their new books, let's promote stuff that they're doing, but to have that be the entire hour is something that I do kind of want to mix up a little bit so that people don't get too bored, but I didn't get bored talking to these people. These people that I talked to for season 2 and even season 1 were great, and I can't wait to see who we have for season 3. So yeah, I want to say that's about it for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, you can like it, you can subscribe to the channel, you can follow the podcast. All the links will be in the description below. I hope you guys have a super special, awesome day, and bye.